Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between the Dark Elves and Skaven. It's going to be myself with Lokir Felhard facing off against Professor Pone, who's going to be rocking the big stinky Lord Skrolk, coming in with the Chieftain as well as the Warlock Engineer. So probably going to be rocking a couple different Lords of Magic. I would imagine maybe some summons from Plague and the big Flensing Ruin of Ruin. Now, the build's going to be a little bit wild. We do, of course, have a couple Bleak Swords in the front. They trade up, or not trade up, but they do defeat Clan Rats pretty decisively in combat, and yeah, not much to say. They're solid. Get them in the front line, they hold. Now, over here on the other side, we are going to be rocking Blackheart Corsairs with handbows. I feel like these things have always been pretty good, and one of the best units on the roster, in my opinion. They have great melee stats at 32, 28, 32 with high armor values, so they can fight off Clan Rats. If missiles try and jump on them, for example, not missiles, but missile hunter units, like Wolf Rats, they're going to be able to beat them in combat and then continue shooting. Now, they don't have good AP in their shooting, but most of the targets that you're going to want to hit with Skaven are basically Rat Ogres, right? So hopefully they'll be able to get those. Bleak Swords in the front, one Corsair over on the side. We have a Burning Head caster, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is going to be Burning Head, which is just so good against Skaven. Skaven tend to just spam as many Clan Rats as possible, so being able to roast their front lines like instantly, or at least one position, is very, very good. Lokir is kind of like a Sigvald pick in a way. He's not quite as durable as Sigvald, but even still, Homeboy is going to be healing in the front. So he heals 0.10, but he has to be in melee, but it does also give him some melee defense. So when he's in combat, he does rock 70 melee defense, which isn't terrible. And on top of that, he has an ability which is pretty good against Skaven, which is the Merciless Slaver. So nearby units are going to be getting a substantial debuff of -6 leadership, so not bad at all. Now, the wild pick, this is definitely for fun. If you guys are looking for a competitive Dark Elf kind of build, I mean, I think the rest of the build has some functionality, but this is definitely potentially the issue. Medusas have never been that good, but I was like, let's give it a try. It's been a while. It does have shooting, has a little, and its shooting attack can do okay damage. It causes terror, and it has an AoE yell ability called the Wail of Malice, which I was like, maybe if you put this in the middle of a bunch of Clan Rats, it's going to be able to kind of melt them down. And yeah, let's see how it goes. I honestly feel like they could give this thing unlimited charges, and it wouldn't even be a problem. But yeah, that is basically it for my army. And for Pone, of course, he's going to be playing the Honorable Skaven without the Unsummoned, because that is going to get changed at some point. So front line's going to be Clan Rats, backed up by Big Stinky. So Big Stinky is going to be coming in with just the summon ability, as well as his 2 activated items. And that's not a bad idea. Skrolk's an amazing fighter. He does also have Contaminate, so when he hits units, he bonks their leadership down. He hits hard. I mean, he is just solid. And the Flensing Runecaster is going to be here to nuke my blobs. And in case there's Manticores, Pone does have Howling Warp Gale to lock those things down, lock my Harpies down. Really live long and prosper. A couple Jezzails in the back. We do have the old Chieftain. Chieftain is still there with the power grab, and it's going to be working as intended, right? So if Skrolk dies or gets routed, it's going to be providing a leadership buff to the army, which isn't a bad idea. I do foresee once that gets fixed, the Skaven will probably do that. They'll probably almost always bring a Chieftain, or pretty consistently bring one, just so they have the power grab in the back pocket. So Colin's going to be Plague Monks. Now, Plague Monks are a unit I'm really advocating for... really advocating to give them poison damage. I feel like Plague Monks and Sensor Bearers, and does Skrolk do poison damage? Yeah, he should do poison damage too. Like all those kind of Skaven, Plague Monk, Plague style characters should 100% do poison. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Well, the Plague Monks, as far as trading into Dark Elf troops, they will do well against Bleak Swords and Dread Spears. Probably will start to struggle against Corsairs due to their lack of armor piercing. But even still, they have some decent sustained combat stats, and they do have 15 Phys Res also. So, you know, they can endure better than you'd think in the right situations. So Jezzail shooting from downtown. The Medusa pops out, actually gets a pretty cost-effective little shot there. So you can see it does zap those Plague Monks, and it looks like here, wow, that was actually a lot. It took down 14 Plague Monks with that one shot, and then the other one lost 11 models. But, you know, the Jezzails are able to force me back. So we're going to be scurrying into the trees here and making sure to take up a more defensive position. On the other side, we have our Bleak Swords holding on. Looks like Pone's going to be doing a dual push here. So he's got his Clan Rat swarming from all sides. So he'll probably be able to steal this objective initially until I can get some more reinforcements over there. But getting that home point back shouldn't be too difficult against just a couple Clan Rat units. So Siren of Red Rune going to be maneuvering out. I do have my Burning Head caster waiting in the wings. I wanted to get a fat Burning Head here on the Plague Monks. And the Corsair Handbows, a little bit of sloppy micro. I have them kind of blobbed up, but they're moving through the trees. And I figured that they would be able to just put some nice hurt onto the Plague Monk units here. So Plague Monks, of course, very lightly armored. So any sort of missile pressure like this is going to be pretty substantial. In the meantime, Colin for Pone is going to be Rat Ogres. Jezzail's still trying to find targets. And this is a tough map for ranged focus fire, like long range, like cannons, artillery, Jezzails. The good old Celestial Lake does run into some issues with line of sight for sure. It's a very good like chaos melee focus map, and Dark Elves can roll here too because their missile play is like very mobile, like repeater crossbows and shades and things like that. So we got the Medusa still putting a little bit of love down on these guys, and it is a source of terror as well. Granted, very expensive at 1600. Burning Head going down to the other side, going to be cooking some of these Plague Monks. What better way to burn out the infection than with a fat Burning Head right there? as those Plague Monks do get folded up like a piece of paper. And the Bleak Swords took a lot of damage in that initial fight against Plague Monks, but of course, with the Burning Head coming in, it's going to seal the deal. So here's what I was saying about the Blackheart Corsairs. Really hard to shut down, and we do have one of the cooler looking models. Medusas are so cool. Look at this thing. Oh, yeah. And it's going to be terror routing a bunch of these rats off. So you can see that the old wolf rat's going to be fleeing the scene. Both of them running away from the Medusa terror route. These ones breaking at like full health. They're literally at 80%. But yeah, you know, a very Skaven experience for sure. So now we got a little bit of blob fighting. It is going to be Bleak Swords battling against the waves of clan rats. Big Stinky is here too, though, and he's going to be able to discourage my units and do really consistent DPS. Also drop some summons down if he wants to, and it looks like there is going to be a summon on the point. I do have more reinforcements, Black Arcs, and basic Bleak Swords in the back. My handbow is now going to be moving back into formation here as we have a bit of a duel of sorts. So Liber Bubonicus going down, and I was wondering how Lokir was getting his butt kicked by Skrolk, but now it makes sense. Liber Bubonicus does a ton of damage. It did get nerfed, I believe, like a while back, but it still does some work as these two characters duke it out. Lokir, of course, would do pretty well in a dueling situation against Skrolk. He does have better stats, so quite a bit better, actually. His melee defense is way higher. And you can see he's evening out the duel a little bit, but I am in Skaven territory. All it's going to take is a big Flensing Rune, and yeah, I got hit with Flensing Rune as well, so that's what it was. Because normally Lokir would dominate Skrolk in combat, but yeah, it was a Flensing Rune and a Liber one-shoticus that did some good damage here. So pulling back Lokir, not wanting to party too hard here, I do call in the Medusa. So the Medusa leaps across and is going to be coming to help, and Skrolk will definitely lose against the Medusa, as well as Lokir. Medusas are anti-infantry monsters, I think with their shooting attacks at least. I don't know about their melee profile, but they still pack a pretty nice little punch here, and Lord Skrolk is going to wisely run away there, which is certainly good. And back on the other side, we do reclaim our home objective. I call out some Shades with dual weapons, which I like them against Skaven as like a one-off. You just bring them and, you know, late game when there's no weapons teams around, they can come in, you know, put a little bit of armor piercing into potentially big threats and also kill things in melee with their dual weapons. Shades are basically like balanced versions of Akshin Ambushers. Like Akshin Ambushers should cost the same as Shades. It's ridiculous that they're like 200 less and basically just better. But it is what it is. Siren of Red Ruin going to be retreating back, and Lokir Felheart holding it down in the front. We do see objective number 2 here is looking a little bit precarious as I have been kind of pushed back, and the Rat Pack is advancing. Clan Rats here, more Clan Rats, Rat Ogres. We have the Warlock Engineer probably going to drop another Flensing Rune on this blob here, and I'm just trying to get away with low here. And more AoE coming in from Pwn as well. Check that out. He's got the good old Rod of Corruption. Yeah, so that's a Rod of Ruin or whatever the hell it's called. It's one of Skrolk's activated items, and it does a whole bunch of AoE damage there. So he pushes me off the objective there, which sucked pretty bad. Granted, we do retake our home objective, and we're pretty behind in value right now. 5.2 against 3,000, but we have some plays. We got some tricks on the table here. So we do move up, and I took my units from reserve. He pretty over-committed over here on the far side, which is going to be allowing me to take objective number 3. So we move these bad boys in, and the Dark Riders are going to be heading in as well. But he has quick response. Wolf Rats and Clan Rats on their way out, but my units are pretty stalwart, and we just need to get these weapons teams offline. They've been shooting pretty much the entire game, getting good value. These ones up to 700, these ones at about 800. His positioning has been very good with them. He's been able to kind of shoot in the middle, shoot at my home objective, and also defend, but now we get the Crows of Cain on them. Crows of Cain are a nightmare to peel. They regenerate, and they're very high melee defense, so like Wolf Rats and other peeling pieces, even Rat Ogres, will take a long time to kill them. You'll see that the Crows of Cain will last. And that being said, we also call in Dark Riders. Dark Riders came across with a bit of a timing push from Crows of Cain, and we are able to lock down a couple of those units while taking that objective and that objective. Here, it's going to be a little bit dicey, but Mance Cores have always been good against Skaven. If any of you guys watched old school land battles in Warhammer 2, the Rout Ogres, not Rout Ogres, but Mance Cores were able to rout off a lot of the Skaven army very effectively. Unfortunately, the Siren of Red Ruin does get broken. She's going to be running for the hills. So there she goes, and she is currently sitting at, how much value? Only 600, so not as much as I would have liked. Honestly, the Medusas always seem a little bit underwhelming, but they're so cool flavor-wise. They certainly are just awesome. So more shots from downtown. Blackheart Corsairs grinding away. Skaven could potentially get terror-routed with a huge burning head going to be going down here. That's going to be just tearing through all those forces, and you'd see those filthy rats just get absolutely immolated by that burning head as my forces rally. So we do have Blackheart Corsairs moving back up with their handbows. Rat Ogre is going to be jumping on them, which definitely sucks. Collins for me, Corsairs, as well as Dread Spears on the back objective were pretty secure. And here we do get the Shades coming up. So Shades actually were able to arrive to the front, and those bad boys will hopefully be able to melt some of the Rout Ogres that were moving in. As far as this objective goes, I'm going to lose it. The Corsairs are fighting very well and dominating Clan Rats. No surprises there. My Shades are going to be attacked by Clan Rats here, although the Shades with their dual weapons should be able to, really cut through these Clan Rats well. My back point still has some spears on it, and over towards objective number 2, we have been able to wrestle this one back. So the Corsairs moving up have done very well. Feral Mancores have been absolute MVP. Skrolk actually got beaten down by that Manticore really hard, running away with about 500 HP. Lokir Felhart did get unsummoned. He was at like literally like maybe 200 HP, and I just unsummoned him off the battlefield. So thankfully I didn't have to take that leadership penalty. And now I see Skrolk kind of running, so I called in some Dark Riders to try and chase him down. I was like, let's see if we can get that kill. Because Skaven are a pretty low leadership faction. Obviously one of the best swarming factions in the game, but if you can punish their leadership, you know, cut the head off the metaphorical snake, aka rat here, you can do very well for yourself. So maneuvering around, trying to find the goodies, and we do retake this objective. The Manticore really terror routing those bad boys. And now the values get a little bit closer. We're within 1700. We had some healing on Lokir, not much. I wouldn't put much credence into that. Blackheart Corsairs here still duking it out with the old clan rats, and yeah, they're trying their best, but they are broken. Rout Ogres as well as clan rats here are pushing them off. Now we just kind of need to hold our two objectives, which I think we should have decent chances of doing. Granted, the rats do have the value lead, but if we can get Skrolk, that's going to be a big win for us. So Shades down here, like I said, still fighting. I don't know what kind of value they got, but not bad. Wow, 1700 value on these Shades. Awesome. Dude, look how cool the armor is. Cool. They have like the Halloween color scheme. I believe that's the Blessed Dread. They have like the orange hue with those different colors there. So yeah, the Shade's able to kind of clean those bad boys up. We do see the clan rats running for the hills. Now back towards this point, we're looking pretty stable. We do have some spears and the Medusa still hanging around, so we have a cheap source of terror. And Lord Skrolk is being hunted down by these Dark Riders, but he did summon some clan rats, which is pretty funny to kind of protect him. We got Rattling Gunners coming out, 2 Jezzails back online. That's going to give some nice pushing power to Pone here, who finally is able to mobilize some forces, clan rats and ogres and doggos, to take down these Shades of dual weapons, which have gotten about 1800 value. You can see how powerful like stock ambushing armor piercing units are, and like that's where you see like Akshinas and you're like, holy shit, man, they're so stupidly OP. The Skrolk at 85 HP, you know, he was squeaking away, and squeaking was certainly what he was doing. So I pulled up all of my Blackheart Corsairs, and I basically was just guard mode force targeting Lord Skrolk, trying to take him down. But he was juking a lot of my shots. Colin's going to be Bleak Swords for myself, spears in the distance. For Professor Pone, his Collins, I believe, were Rattling Gunners, and another unit of Rattling Gunners, which will, of course, do good damage, but they're not going to give him a ton of agency in terms of pushing the objectives. They're pretty easy to screen on this map. Line of sight's a big problem. If it was a more open, flat map, I'd be more concerned, but when I did see those, I wasn't, like, super stressed about it. So Skrolk sitting at 49 HP. This little rat's going to be fleeing through the trees, and honestly, his survival here is a pretty big deal. You can see Rattling Gunners and Ogres. That's a cool-looking shot. Look at the reinforcements of the Skaven coming from downtown. Skrolk trying to run through the trees, getting poked, and the Corsair handbows were just getting picked off as they chased him. A couple more shots go down. Are we going to get the kill on the stinky rat? He might just shatter, but maybe we'll get him as well. Yeah, I was really just like force pathing after him. We got to do the cinematic chase of Lord Skrolk and see if he survives. Big volley right there, and Skrolk does go down. The rat does not make it. He got Willem Dafoe'd there, platooned, and the Teethbreakers are able to peel off. So that was very close. That was a big one for me, because you could see the Skaven called in the reinforcements and just absolutely mowed down my stuff. Like, I got Last Samurai here, dude. Just brutal firepower. Although it looks like there was a lot of friendly fire. The Rout Ogres seem to have gotten blasted into the Shadow Realm as well. So we're eclipsing 1,000 points here. Skaven do have some Ogres and artillery pieces out, but now I'm just kind of reinforcing my 2 points here. I know the Skaven need to come to me to fight. I have my Medusa parked here. My Burning Headcaster is kind of cackling in the bushes, and we're going to be trying to hold it down. As far as value goes, 8.5 for myself, 10.5 for Pone. So he's still up, which it didn't feel that way. But then, you know, I look at the battlefield. He still has a full health Chieftain. He's got the Teethbreakers. A lot of like his value that he has on the field is in the weapons teams, which I don't think are going to be super good in this kind of like tight, compact fighting here. But we'll have to see. So first fight's underway. Wolfrat's moving through, trying to hunt down my Sorceress, I would imagine. Looks like that's going to be the case, or the Medusa. Medusa maybe will rip a shot. We'll see if she decides to. Come on, don't get line of sighted. Fire. Okay, looks like she's thinking about it, and she does get the shot off. -14. Instant terror out on those wolf rats. You can see the Medusa is providing some nice utility. Even though it's not like an amazing unit, it's kind of cool to see. I tried to get the Crows of Cain around the back to do some flanking, but Pone did see it. Teethbreaker is able to rip some nice shots and bring them down to a very low amount of health. Rattling Gunners are such a cool unit. Very map dependent for sure, but overall extremely disruptive. A little bit of the Last Samurai charge as the Rattling Gunners just absolutely mow down my cavalry, but the Dark Riders going to force their way through. And man, oh man, talk about the crossfire. That is some nasty shit. And yeah, those guys are going to be folding up rather quickly. But no Skrolk on the battlefield, and the leadership penalty is going to be certainly leaning into the Skaven here. As these spears continue to fight it out, we do see the Bleak Swords duking it out in the front line also, and trading very well against the low leadership Skaven army. Dark Elves, of course, suffering a leadership penalty from their Lord having fled? No, that's right. We unsummoned him earlier, so they didn't. I was like looking around. I was like, did he die? I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure I got the unsummon off. So that is really nice for us. Crows of Cain diving on top of the Rattling Gunners, so they were able to come back for round 2, baby. And objective number 2 here looking very comfortable as most of the Skaven forces are buckled off. We see Ogres and machine guns coming in. But there's so many Dark Riders, and Dark Elves are one of the better diving factions for sure. Harpies in tandem with Dark Riders give you a really good core of like fighting diving units, because Dark Riders have good stats actually. You can see 30 and 30 right here. They of course have the Murderous Prowess active right now, which is going to give them that stat line, but it lasts a long time. And you can get some nice timing strikes. Charge bonus of 50 on Dark Riders. I mean, that is really solid for like a light cavalry unit. Really, really solid. Largely due to the fact that they do have the Murderous Prowess active, but even still, it's pretty rad. Going for the home objective again, we do see them kind of committing heavily to the side and not going too hot for them. So we are going to be rushing up towards the home objective. And at this point, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a little bit tough for Pone to come back. He's going to be moving up with weapons teams and various units, but I have my Burning Headcaster. I'm able to just target the objectives with good quality infantry. And you can see the points are really, really just kind of ebbing away as we take the home point here and we intercept some of the reinforcements. Corsair's running rampant, and the value lead is only like 700 now. So there's really not too many chances. Feral Manticore will tear out pretty much anything that comes in here, and you can see how the Rattling Gunner's kind of struggling to get in position on this map. GG well played. It was a really fun game. 2 unorthodox builds. You know, we got Loke here. We also got the old MEDUSA. So the MEDUSA was not very good, but it was still fun. I had a great time using it. It's always a treat to use those underused units and explore. And maybe someday they'll get buffed. Who knows? But old Loke here, sitting at about 800 value. He got his butt kicked by that magic. By Liber One-Shoticus, as it once used to be called, as well as the Flensing Rune. I did not expect that, and it really put him down pretty damn hard. For Skrolk, he did good. 1900, Warlock Engineer got probably good value, about 18. Jezzail's actually did well, considering that map. And the Rattling Gunners put up a good fight. Yeah, it was a fun game. Plague Monk's probably some of the weaker performers, although one of them got about 800 value. The other one got shut down by the Burning Head. So, yeah, I think if they give Skaven like Plague Monks poison damage, that would be a really nice frontline boon for Skaven. That would be really rad. All right, guys, GG well played. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. We'll see you on the other side, and take care of yourselves.